Well, good evening and welcome. We are live talking about the incredible heat wave that's in store. Give me 1 second before we get started. Turn this down and we will get started on the weather for this week. So today's high was 97. It was incredibly hot. Now, keep in mind, yesterday was 102, so it was a little cooler, or it just wasn't as hot as it was yesterday. It was about 5 degrees cooler today, but still 97 compared to 89. That's where we should be. This time of year, it is incredibly hot. This is considered a heat wave. Anytime you're 5 degrees or hotter above your average high for more than 5 days, that is a prolonged amount of time under abnormal heat, unseasonal heat, and that's what we're considering for this heat wave. Again, that's about, let's say, 8 degrees above average. 97 is what we hit today. 89 is where we should be hitting this time in May, so way too warm. It was 3 degrees away from a record set back in 1989, so it was not record breaking, but it was very close. And tomorrow will be close as well as this heat wave continues across South Texas and pretty much across the state. I mean, if you look at all these warnings and advisories, they're posted from the valley towards Houston, here, out west, and even some counties up across central Texas, all underneath at least some level of heat advisory and heat warning. So it is incredibly hot. And you know, if you're heading out to the river tomorrow, if you're driving out to the beach or out to a body of water, as you should, if you have the day off and you're spending it at the pool, obviously, you know, stay cool, drink plenty of water, because heat exhaustion and heat stroke are very serious. And here's kind of the difference between the two. So when you kind of differentiate these two, heat exhaustion is more of the sweating variety, when you start to really start to sweat excessively, when you start feeling faint, dizzy, you experience muscle cramps, versus heat stroke, your skin's a little bit more dry. You experience more of a headache, a throbbing headache, as opposed to being faint or dizzy. And that's when your air temperature and your body temperature really start to match, right? Whenever we see these kind of temperatures move into South Texas, it's usually around 100, 102, 103, heat index even hotter than that. But when your body temperature climbs up to 100 to 103, that's when you're experiencing heat stroke symptoms, and that usually results in nausea, vomiting, and again, dry skin and a strong pulse, versus heat exhaustion. It's more of a weaker pulse. So regardless, drink water, find shade, take breaks when you can. And if you're experiencing those heat stroke symptoms tomorrow, for example, call 911, get some help, or even just go inside for a little bit, take a break, find some AC because of this incredible heat wave that's in store. It's going to be very hot for the next couple of days as we wrap up the holiday weekend, and probably as we wrap up May as well. Now, speaking of that, you know, we hit 100 yesterday. That was our first triple-digit day of the year. Last year, it wasn't until June 16th we hit 100 or hotter. So when you compare it to last year, it's a little early. And then when you compare it to the normal first 100-degree day, it's way too early. We typically, based on 150 years of data, when you average all that together, you typically hit 100 or hotter in San Antonio specifically around June 30th, July 1st time frame. And the fact that we're hitting it around May 25th, May 26th, it's abnormal. It's not normal. It's supposed to be hot here, yes, in late spring, summertime, early fall, but not this hot, not when you compare it to average highs and average lows. Now, one more thing before we get to the forecast, and if you have any questions, again, feel free to comment down below. That starts our counts for the year. Since we hit 100 yesterday, we did not hit it today. We hit 97 this afternoon in San Antonio, but yesterday we hit 102. That marks the first day of triple-digit heat, and certainly not the last, but hopefully it's not as hot as last year, and hopefully it's not as hot as the year before, where we picked up over 70 days last year of 100-degree temperatures or hotter. Back in 2009, that's second place. That's 59 days, but last year blew it out of the water, right? Last year was abnormally hot, 75 days at or above 100 degrees. Incredible. That was last year, mostly last summer, but sometimes you can get triple-digit days, you know, as early as spring, or early as even in late winter. I think the earliest 100-degree day is like in February in San Antonio, but I'll take a look at that later. But yeah, so that's, you know, some of the numbers we have looking forward to. Obviously, those numbers were outliers, abnormal, but, you know, summertime gets hot, and sometimes you can see consecutive days of triple-digit heat, and wouldn't be surprised if we see more of that as we progress into June, which is just less than a week away. Outside right now, it is quiet, mostly clear. 90 feels like 101, so it is steamy outside. When you factor in that dew point around the middle 70s, it is just so tropical outside. If you've ever been to the beach and like during the summertime in July and August and you walk outside, temperatures don't cool down that much. You have a nice breeze near the coast like Galveston, Corpus Christi, Port Aransas, South Padre Island. Yeah, you have the breeze going, but the closer you are to the coast, the higher the humidity is and the slower the air temperature cools down, and more importantly, what it factors into is a heat index late at night. So for example, because of our tropical air, our high surge in humidity, the dew point's at 76, it's making 90 degrees feel like 101. So it is just oppressively humid outside. It's incredibly humid and warm. I mean, when you're talking about 90s at 9 o'clock at night, that's what we see, in July and August, and especially near the coastline, near Corpus Christi and Port A. That's really, really typical this time of year. But San Antonio, we're farther inland, so we typically don't see that. But again, in late spring, early summer, it can happen. Okay, tomorrow we do still have this extended excessive heat advisory and excessive heat warning in effect, depending on where you're at. But San Antonio technically is underneath an excessive heat warning until 8 o'clock tomorrow night, meaning it's going to be hot. That's about it. When you have a heat advisory, air temperatures account for like 100, heat index value up to 108 to 110. But when you have an excessive heat warning, it's accounting for heat indices or the feels like temperature as high as 116, 117, 118. And notice how much pink's on the map. We're expecting a lot of heat tomorrow, less cloud cover in the morning. There will be some patchy morning fog. Limited visibility around 6, 7, 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, but for the most part, sun will come out. It'll be a little hazy once again, but still a lot of heat's in store for Memorial Day. All right, 90 degrees out the door, 86 in some locations in northwest Bexar County, 86 in Seguin, a pair of 8s over in New Braunfels, 86 at Floresville, still 90 at Pleasanton. Del Rio, typically and always the hot spot this time of year, even through August and fall. It's always the hot spot because of the dry air. It just heats up faster and faster. Less humidity out west, more of a desert-like heat in Eagle Pass, Laredo, Del Rio. So right now, Del Rio's picking up an air temperature at 102, which is so hot, very hot. And of course, when you factor in the humidity, it's funny, when you take a look, rewind that back. So when you look at Del Rio's air temperature, 102, because of the dry air and the less humidity, when you factor in the humidity, there's not much. So it actually feels less than the air temperature when you have more of a desert-like heat in Laredo, in Del Rio, and Eagle Pass. So the air temperature in Del Rio is 101 to 102, but the heat index is 93. It's higher here because the closer you are to the coast, the more humidity you have, and that factors into the heat index that feels like temperature. So mainly coastal counties and even towards San Antonio, Pearsall, Cotulla, that's where you pick up on more of a heat index because of the proximity to the water towards the coast because you have humidity in your atmosphere. But the farther west you go towards Mexico, Del Rio and Eagle Pass, you have less humidity and it's more of an air temperature, dry heat situation. That's why heat index or feels like temperature doesn't really work too much and too well out west towards Del Rio. Tonight's forecast, we stay quiet and clear, 80s through about midnight and about 2 a.m. We'll slip into the 70s by about 3 and 4 a.m., but still very quiet. And speaking of quiet, we have a clear radar. This time last night, we were looking at severe storms in North Texas, some of which produced tornadoes north of Dallas towards Oklahoma. It was violent thunderstorms that did go severe very quickly, and it was very isolated. It wasn't everywhere. But because of this pattern of just so much heat, hot air rising, it pops off thunderstorms very quickly in the afternoon, late evening when we hit our afternoon high. And it looks like that'll be the case tomorrow with a 30% chance at isolated storms late tomorrow night. So if you are going to the river, going to the pool, anywhere across South Texas, you are good to go. It's going to be a hot day. Bring a bottle of water. Bring a lot of water with you. Find shade when you can. Have an umbrella with you just to have shade because it's just going to be so hot. It's going to be hard to cool off, especially if you're in the sun for a long duration of time. 102 tomorrow. It's going to be extremely hot tomorrow afternoon. Some forecast models depicting 103 to 104 in some locations around our area, around the metro. So it is going to be incredibly hot. Please be careful. Drink plenty of water. Take breaks. Have sunscreen. Have sunblock. Apply it every couple hours because in this kind of pattern, it doesn't take much more than 20 to 30 minutes to burn your skin. And the UV index will be probably extreme with this kind of heat in place. Now, just to reiterate, late scattered thunderstorms will be in the forecast tomorrow night. Let me show you why. So through tomorrow and even most of next week, we will stay hot. By the middle of next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, this ridge of high pressure weakens a little bit. It moves to the south and west. So it weakens slightly, but it still remains pretty hot. We're still under the influence of that ridge of high pressure out near Mexico, but it's weak enough to let rain form because in the summertime, again, just to say one more time, you have so much hydro rising, you have surface heat, you have daytime heat, and if you have humidity in place, which we do, that can pop off scattered thunderstorms around the region. And when that ridge of high pressure is overhead, it's a cap. It almost inhibits thunderstorms, but when it's farther south, it allows our atmosphere to flourish and to produce rain. Now, tomorrow morning, maybe a sprinkle, some patchy morning fog, that's about it. But watch what happens tomorrow afternoon. It gets a little active. 3, 4, 5 p.m., there could be a couple of isolated storms around. Here's 4 p.m. Here's 5 p.m. And this is just a forecast model, so don't pay too close attention to the location. Just pay attention to the pattern. Anywhere from Austin to Del Rio to Carrizo Springs to Hallettsville to Columbus, there will be scattered rain around, and a couple of those rain showers could turn into strong to severe thunderstorms. Not going to be everywhere, but when you hit temperatures like 100 to 105, it's likely to happen. And this is tomorrow night, just a forecast model saying a couple of downpours between here, Hondo, Pearsall, Pleasanton, Seguin, and Gonzales around 6 p.m. tomorrow night. And after we lose daytime heat, we lose the heat of the day and we start to cool down slowly, we lose the rain chance. But some of those storms could turn severe tomorrow night between about 4 p.m. and 9 p.m. That's the window we have at a level 1 out of 5 at some of these showers turning severe after the prime heating of the day. Now, it's only accounting for a 30% chance in the evening and overnight hours. So that's not amazing. Most of you will stay dry, but there is a 30 to 40% chance every evening going forward because of this heat of isolated to scattered evening thunderstorms that could go strong to severe, producing hail, gusty winds, and things like that. So we'll definitely keep an eye on everything. But yeah, at least I'm thankful for staying in tomorrow. I was at the water park today. Yeah, it was 97 today, but the peak heat index was like 107 to 108 from what I saw around 4 or 5 o'clock today. It was so humid. It was so hot. And tomorrow it looks like it's going to be a little worse. Yesterday we hit 102. Tomorrow, same thing, if not a little hotter tomorrow afternoon. So we'll see how that plays out and unfolds, but it's expected to be very hot tomorrow. 96 on Tuesday. During the afternoons and most of the daytime, it's quiet. Mixture of clouds and sunshine, a little bit of haze in the atmosphere, but otherwise dry. It's mainly in the evening. After 4 and 5 p.m., we have the best chance at 30 to 40 to 50% coverage on some of those scattered showers, maybe a thunderstorm, but definitely keeping a close eye on the potential and the severe potential for a storm tomorrow night and Tuesday night as well. It looks like models are saying better chance tomorrow night and even into Tuesday night for a decent shot at seeing some pretty good showers and thunderstorms. But right now, running only at 30 to 40, meaning it's only scattered in nature. It's not going to be a lot. All right, we'll leave it on the forecast a little longer, guys. Stay cool, be safe, drink plenty of water. Tomorrow, Memorial Day, holiday, everyone has it off. Most people have it off, I should say. But it will be hot, it will be humid. And while we do drop a few degrees, it won't be as hot next week, but still on the warm side. Typical high is 89 in May, and all of next week, 95, 96, and 97. Extremely hot for this time of year, and summer hasn't even started yet. Be safe and have a wonderful Monday, and be safe on Memorial Day and for the rest of the week.